Monkey Tail.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Monkey Tail podcast. I'm your host, Bruno Pinto, and with me as ever, I have my friend slash co-host, Mr. Marius Dunkley.
Hello.
His internet is a bit spotty today, so we may lose him. We'll see how he goes. And we also have Captain of the Boat with a broken headset, Mr. Benn Jenkins. How are you doing, sir?
Ahoy, I'm good. I'm very well, guys. Good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been a while, yeah. Welcome back. We obviously had a special guest, Alex, last week, and we have an actual resident host.
Even special.
Well,
I wouldn't say resident.
You know what? Before we met you, Ben, Marius did say to me, "Well, we need to be careful with this Ben. He might be a special." This is literally that was literally his words. Okay, so and looking at your headset, I think he was right.
Yeah, no, I am a little bit not flaky, but yeah, I don't sort of fit into the norms. So yeah, a little bit special.
Right. Okay, guys.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So happy to have you back. Right. Let's start the podcast like we always do with an opening question. And the opening question today is: you have a real life HUD. A HUD for is obviously heads up display, and you can see stats on it or information. So what would you have on your real life HUD and why, Ben?
Well, I think a couple of little bits, but because I drive so much, an inbuilt GPS compass pointing to wherever I'm heading, that would be sort of a standard for me. I like the idea of again, maps, like waypoints for the shop or the toilet or something just in your vision, just points of interest, I suppose. And also the idea, I was thinking about it today, in like Watch Dogs, you can see that this person's a banker or is having trouble with their relationships or something like that. Something along those lines, but in a more positive, very menial way. So you would be driving down the motorway and it'd be like, this person likes watching clouds, or this person is,
likes watching
like
clouds.
singing in the shower. I don't know, just like little snippets of information about other people. It's not intrusive, and it's not, it's just brighten up your day, really. I don't know. But I thought about, the standards of like HP or hunger meters and stuff like that, but pretty good with knowing when I'm hungry or if my health's low. So there's a couple of points for you.
I mean, that's well, I'm going to ask in a second as well, but that was a writing prompt as well. So I think Marius told me, Marius. I always get these two fucking mixed up. Martin told, that's the one, yeah. Martin told me this one, which is a writing prompt he saw with his HUDs, real life HUD, which was you get a real life HUD that tells you how long you have to leave and how long other people have to leave, and then you see somebody on the street that has minus hours left. So that's a writing prompt, So I'm like, I want to watch that movie. That sounds cool. So how's that person cheating life or cheating death? Yeah, so I think that's quite cool. So Marius, what would be the information you'd like to see?
I think I only need one thing on my real life HUD, and that is a dickometer, which tells me what level of dickhead the person that is coming at me is. So I can completely avoid any interaction with people that go too far to the right of the dickometer. So I never have to interact with those sort of people.
So you'd have an actual meter.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a percentage. You would just see the arrow going.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
old
like
school.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it. I like it. That's mine is similar. I mean, I would like essentially a bullshit detector, a lying detector, so that whenever somebody was saying something, maybe one with if it was intelligent enough, one that would come up with the actual fact. They say, "Oh yeah, I finished first in this competition in school," and then like false, actually finished fifth. Like something like that. So like just give me the right fact. So I'll be that guy going like. Actually, no. This is the answer. So I would like that. Distance stuff is quite good. As well the GPS, like you said. Hey, listen, you have to have the time as well. Like just the current time of the day. Yeah.
And maybe a high score of some sort, like an augmented reality style game, a high score game as you go along through that day. I don't know.
I see. Or maybe I could play Tretis on my peripheral vision as well. That would be quite interesting. Very good. Okay, I think that answered the question somewhat. If you guys want to give us your answers, please send us your answers on either by Twitter at monkeytail.uk or send us a email to monkeytail.co.uk. That's the one. Podcast at monkeytail.co.uk. I got it right in the end. I normally say it at the end, and I get ready for it at the end, but I just surprised myself by doing it earlier. Okay, let's move on to that. Looks interesting. I mean, there's a couple of things. The Sony, not Sony. My God, I'm getting everything wrong today. The Epic versus Apple. Marius is putting his rolling his eyes up. No, it's I think it's actually very interesting because it's still going on. I think today was the last day of the trial. Now it's going to have to go to it's a judge trial, so she'll make a decision. But what it looks like from I've been following it quite closely. It looks like where the judge is going to land is they're going to tell Epic no, they cannot have obviously their own market on the Apple Store, but they might stop Apple from doing the what is called the non-steer clause they have, which is if you put an app on the App Store, you can absolutely sell a subscription for cheaper elsewhere in your website, but you cannot say go and find it there. So it looks like the judge is going to go like, Apple, no, it's still your walled garden, but you cannot stop them from saying they can get it cheaper elsewhere, which I think that's probably what it's going to land. So, and I think Apple will be okay with that, to be fair. Apple, because it is still, because somebody like Marius, if he's like, you can get it for £6 here, or for £5, we have to go and sign on there and go on the website, you probably just pay the £6. So Apple will be quite happy with that, because most people would still stay anyway without having to go through all the hassle. So that's probably where it looks like it's gonna is heading. Obviously, the decision has not been made yet. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But a lot of witnesses have been in already, and a lot of documents have been leaked because of this, which pissed off a few people. One, which I thought was very interesting, is that Sony charges developers for crossplay. Okay.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So for crossplay, this is what they do. They say, okay, so your game, we made X amount in microtransactions or whatever in sales a year, right? This is how much we made, and if we get 80% of that still this following year, no problem. If we get less than 80%, you have to pay us the difference. You have to pay a percentage of the difference. So they're actually charging because their point is if you're gonna do it cross-platform, then their users might spend the money elsewhere. They might spend it on the PC or on the phone, etc. So, which I think is very cheeky, actually. I mean, they can do it because they have the market lead. We'll see, obviously, what happens in a few years. If they still have the market lead, etc., or not. But I thought that was quite interesting. That came out of this trial. And finally, not trial related, you'll be happy to know, but also came from a earnings meeting, I think it was addressing the shareholders. Ubisoft have kind of like their business plan was always make at least 4 big AAA games a year. You know, Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, Far Cry. So they said they not going to do that anymore because that's the business is moving. So they want to try and do more the free to play thing because that's where the money is coming. So it looks like they're still going to do AAA games, but they're going to focus more on doing something where they give you the experience for free, but then you pay microtransactions going forward. Which I like Ubisoft's games. I think that's sad news, actually, personally. But what do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
You don't care. What about yourself? Okay.
No, not really. I mean, look, it depends exactly what they like. Exactly what have they said? Are they going to stop making AAA games? They're just They're just, or
No.
is it just they're going to focus on free to play stuff? Because that's the case. Whatever, they'll just do their free to play, but the AAA will still be there.
They still gonna do AAA, but they're gonna do they're not gonna do 4 big AAAs a year anymore. They might only do 1 or 2, and then the other ones will be AAA as well, but it will be free to play, AAA free to play games, where obviously heavily subsidized by microtransactions. So that's
I think free to play is probably changing, like what that means nowadays. It's like they give away games. Rainbow Six, for example, you get that for free pretty much anywhere now. Destiny 2, these are all essentially free to play, and it's not as bad as it used to be on mobile, for example, with all the ads being thrown at you, and that's where they make the money. I think free to play is not actually such a bad thing anymore, as long as it's not in your face and it gives you the option to play the game at your own pace. It might be a slower pace than if you pay to win, but obviously that's a different argument. But the game I've been playing is free to play at the minute, and I'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's too bad.
So with Ubisoft, I kind of went off their games. I think that all their games were melding into one anyway.
Yeah.
And then I loved Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I thought that was an excellent title. They did. Valhalla was okay, but Odyssey was the one. I mean, I love mythology and all of that anyway. So I really liked that. But I don't really play free-to-play games. I think you're right. It is changing. I mean, Genshin Impact, which is I think one that came out recently, which is supposed to be quite good actually, even though it's like a Zelda-like, Japanese ripoff.
Yeah, I hear the microtransactions can be quite offensive in that game, though.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they're pretty obtrusive, I think.
But the game itself is supposed to be a decent game, allegedly. I cannot get over the looks of it. It looks too, manga. What's it called? Manga. That's the one. Manga.
You're doing fucking sterling job today,
Thank you.
I must say. Well done.
It's the time of the day, I think. The time of the day.
Saturday afternoon is not podcast day.
I in the morning is when you get my full podcastness. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting where it's changing. On that, I was complaining to Marius actually not too long ago about PS5 exclusives are like 70 quid. That's the price, and I think that's crazy. But then I was looking a bit more into it and reading a bit more into it, and the £50 or the £40 module doesn't work without supporting it with microtransactions. So it only works if you do it like Ubisoft does. They do it for £40, but then you have all the aggressive microtransactions as well in the background. If you wanna buy more credits or whatever, you get it like that, or like with Overwatch and games like that. So then I thought to myself, would I pay £70 for a game which is like a classic AAA Sony game, but without any of the bullshit microtransactions? And the answer is yes. So I think I'm okay with it. If that's the cost if that's what it costs to make the type of games they make, which is what I like, then yes, I think that's fine. If it costs more money to make it, it costs more money to make. I guess I think prices, because if you think about it, they haven't really changed that much.
I was just about to say, yeah. To be fair, the price of a standard full budget video game has not changed for years and years, to be honest. PS2 maybe era, perhaps PS3, maybe it went up a little bit for PS3 sort of generation.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's basically stayed the same, or if anything gone down, because back in the day I seem to remember like Street Fighter 2 being like 80 or 90 quid or something stupid like that when it came. Might not have been quite that much, might have been 70 quid then, to be fair.
Cartridges were a lot more expensive back then.
Yeah, exactly. So considering the requirements to make a game and the team size involved in making a game, we've been robbing them blind in in terms of the RRP, I think.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. They still make money, but it's just obviously the return on investment needs to make sense. And I do like I do like those big experiences, your Last of Us and that type of that and God of Wars or all of that. I still want those, and I don't want them to be subsidized by having microtransactions in the background. So I'm prepared to pay a bit more for those because of that. Because also, if you think about it, a multi-platform game, they can go a bit cheaper because they can sell a lot more as well. If it's a multi-platform game, they can sell with it to 3 or 4 different markets, which means they can sell 3-4 times as much as a Sony exclusive or a Microsoft exclusive can do. So those you expect them to be slightly cheaper because they can sell more. So it's basic economics, right? But yes, I think for exclusives, we're gonna see. Certainly on the Sony side, and maybe on the Nintendo side, we're gonna see that them being more expensive going forward. But obviously on the Microsoft side, not so much because they just
It's giving it away.
Anyway, let's move over to the playlist, which is the part of the show where we talk about the games we've been playing. We start with you, Ben. You've been playing a game called Vigor.
Vigor, yeah. So this is the free-to-play game that I alluded to earlier on.
Yeah.
It's basically I've just looked now. Bohemia Interactive. It's a Czech studio that have been responsible for a lot of the Armour mods, which I've never played. But essentially, this is not a battle royale, but a survival game. 1 versus however many are on the map. They're not particularly big games, but the idea is that you put on a map. You start in the middle of nowhere. You've got the map. There's various points across the map to go and to explore, and there's an airdrop towards the end of the timer of the level being open. And the idea is to get in and out as quickly as you can, or as stealthily as you can with whatever loot you need to get for. There's various escape points around the map, and you don't know. Well, you know how many people are with you, but you don't know what their sort of missions are. So the idea is that you're sort of going in to gather supplies to do up your base back home, and you could go in with the mindset of, well, I'm going to try and avoid people. I'm just going to go in and find the resources that I need and get out. Or you can obviously hang around, wait for this better loot drop towards the end of the level. But you don't know how many other people are doing that same thing. So you could end up sort of camping out, waiting for this supply drop to be dropped. Or as I found out the other day, I was just doing my own thing, going in, getting some basic loot to do some basic upgrades. And I hadn't seen anyone on the map for a while. And I figured I'll go and scope out the supply drop area. And I picked it up, and as soon as you pick it up, you're sort of visible on the map to other people intermittently. But you've obviously got to get to the escape area before the radiation kills you, which is ultimately sort of how they funnel you into certain areas, a la sort of Apex Legends or whatever. But the fact that I didn't have any idea who was around me, it's very slow, methodical kind of waiting around. You're keeping an eye out for people moving around the house that are looting. The hunter becomes the hunted type scenario, and it's very minimalistic, so to speak. It's set in sort of Norway, so it's nice big open spaces with a few huts and whatnot. And it's just I've really enjoyed the couple of hours that I played with it the other night. It's not like your normal 1 versus 100 survival of the fittest. Say if you want to get in and get out, it's entirely up to you. And if you meet someone along the way, you could end up in a firefight, or you could end up that you just sort of wave to each other and like go your separate ways. So it's I've been enjoying it so far. But ultimately, it's a Hunger Games, but less emphasis on the action and killing part of it.
That sounds interesting. I had a quick look at how it looks. It looks good actually. I need to give that a go. It sounds like a bit of what I like to play. So yeah, we'll definitely.
It's kind of got the PUBG sort of feel to it. It's militaristic weapons. It's quite a basic game. There's a few maps on rotation, and they're sort of.
I'm not sure militaristic is a word, but if it isn't, it should be one for sure. I like it. If it's not a word, it should be one. I like it.
But yeah, so I think it's the environments are quite pretty. It's not stunningly massive graphics, and I was playing it quite late, so the servers weren't particularly busy. But there's no problem finding a game. you can sort of compete against teams of 2 or 3, or you can go in alone, and you get more XP. And ultimately, you're finding some basic loot to upgrade your house, but you can set like booby traps, and you can set up a little mirror on top of a hill which will glint to give people distraction, and then obviously you can ambush them, steal all their stuff. So yeah, it's an interesting free-to-play model. It's more of a stealthy, methodical, slower-paced game. I did play the sort of the PvP mode, and it was basically just one dude camped out on a roof. As soon as you spawn, he'd sort of pick you off, and it wasn't as fun. But going in with your own loadout, and you've got to create your own weapons, and you find blueprints and things like that to sort of build your loadout to go into the next game. It's good. It's worth checking out. I say for free to play. It's not invasive. It's all cosmetics. If you want.
That sounds good. Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. I have been playing a game called the Hand of Merlin, which Marius. I know Marius really likes the name.
I can't get over that name. It just makes me giggle. It's funny.
So the game came out this week. Came out on Tuesday, I think. I haven't played a lot of it. I haven't played enough to give it a full review, but I played enough to talk a bit about it and to say give my initial thoughts on it. I think it's one of those that I'll come back to it maybe on the next podcast and give it more of a full review. But essentially, it borrows a lot from a lot of games, but it is a roguelike, which I like. It is has RPG elements to it as well, and it's a bit of XCOM even on it. So you have this. You pick your team, and you can only start with 3 characters. You obviously unlock different characters as you play through. You start with 3 characters, and you go through the map. And in the map, you have like the lines you can go. You can go either go one way or the other, and then you can select, okay, go this way. And then whenever you select something, you like in this type of roguelike games, it will say, oh, something is happening here, do you want to help? And then it gives you a percentage of how much, you 66% you might get hurt, and obviously the other percentage you don't get hurt. It has that, like you have on all of these normally card games, like Fights in Tight Places or something, the one I've been playing recently. So there's that, and first of all, I quite like that straight away, because when it comes to like that, like say you might say you have a 75% chance of success, right? What they do is they give you 4 cards, and they say 3 of them are success, the other one is failure, and then they just mix the cards and you pick one, which gives you the you think, oh, that's that give me, I can actually try and pick the right one, but you don't see the cards going in, so it's still obviously a 25% chance of getting it wrong. So you have that, but then when you actually have to go to the battle part, it becomes like an XCOM game where you have your 3 characters, and you actually literally you can move them within squares, and then they have their attacks, and you can use one to heal the other, like when you play like an XCOM game. And that's quite fun, and actually quite difficult. But you need to get your archer in to the right place to attack, and then you have your you start with an archer, like a sword, like a soldier, and then a mage, and then the mage can obviously throw fireballs and heal, and then the archer obviously throws the arrows. All of that's all quite cool. And as you play the game, you unlock points which you can spend on upgrading the players, and you go on run. But if you die, you start again. So that's the roguelike aspect. You start again from the start. So I've only played maybe an hour and a half, maybe. So not enough to really say much more than that. Other than I quite like it. I like the loop on it. It looks quite cool. I think the learning curve is. I think the learning curve is quite steep on it. As it is on a lot of this type of game. There's a lot of systems to learn, but I quite like. I think especially Marius, you would hate it, but Ben, I think you'd quite like it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at videos now. It looks really cool. It's sort of a tactics XCOM roguelike. So when you say it's roguelike, when you die, do you start with nothing, or is there that incremental? I haven't played enough, but obviously there'll be certain things you can keep, but keep through, and then the cards.
But
yeah,
It's your type of game, Ben, for sure. Yes.
It is my sort of game. It's turn-based, slower paced, puzzly, methodical. Yeah, no, I might check this out.
Yeah,
It looks really cool.
I think you'd quite like that. So I haven't played enough, but what I played so far is I can easily is an easy recommend. For sure. So that's Hans, the Hand of Merlin. Marius, you've been playing Sockventure. Sockventure. Tell us about it.
I certainly have. So Sockventure is a sort of 2D platforming game. Basically, I'd go with the easy option to describe it. It's part Super Meat Boy, part Celeste. Really, that's sort of what it's like. So, it doesn't take itself as seriously as Celeste does.
Right.
With the story, I mean, basically, it starts off as a kid. His mum tells him to put his socks in the washing machine, and the washing machine is cursed and goes rogue and eats his socks, and one of the socks turns into like a super sock. And that's who you play as to get through the levels. And yeah, it's like I say, it's like a 2D platformer, super precision based, trying to survive the levels, can be quite tricky. I mean, it starts off okay, but gets obviously progressively more difficult. I think that's one of the things that I actually really like about it is the difficulty curve. It was really well. I mean, it's bloody hard in places, but it's really well paced. So you can obviously just the goal is obviously just get to the end of the levels, but then each level has coins throughout around the level. So you can earn a star for collecting all of the coins. You can earn a star for finishing a chapter without dying, or you can earn a star for doing it within a certain time. And I'm currently, I was disappointed. I was trying to get it done before the podcast. I'm actually on the last level.
Oh, wow.
And so far I've managed to collect every single coin, so it was like just enough challenge to get through with doing all the coins. I mean, when it comes to like the doing it within the time for the levels, which I think is that they're talking like 10-15 minutes, and I'm on like an hour or an hour and a half or so for some of the chapters, and likewise, but the stars for doing it without dying. I mean, last time I looked on the current on the final chapter, I was over 500 deaths. So getting that down to 0 would be quite a challenge, and one I'm not actually up for. That's too much for me. I think it's one of those games like speedrunners would absolutely love. It's really like just like the perfecting each screen and each level is where the joy of this game is, and I think speedrunners and people like that would absolutely love it. I think the checkpoints need a little bit of work for me. That's why I haven't finished it already, because it only saves every so like in the halfway through a chapter or something like that, and I didn't necessarily have time to get to the next checkpoint, but then I had to go and do something else, so then I lose all that progress and had to go back and do a load of levels again, and the levels can be like it'll take you one go and 30 seconds, or it will take you half an hour and 100 attempts. You never quite know. And yeah, I was really surprised by this game. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as I found it. If you're into 2D platformers, it's an absolutely essential purchase. I think
It's an interesting one
brilliant.
because we got given the two games we just talked about. We got given codes for, and I looked at both of them, and I actually thought I would actually prefer that game you've been like. What's it called again? Sorry, Sockventure.
Sockventure.
I actually thought, well, I would really like that, but Marius would like it even more, and I'll quite like Hands of Merlin. So like, kind of like I went with Hands of Merlin, and But yeah, I think I will get a copy of this myself because it's actually buy a copy of myself. I mean, because it sounds like my type of thing. To be fair, for sure.
Yeah, I recommend it. I think it's only 10 or 11 quid or something
Yeah,
like that as
yeah,
well. So
go for it.
it's not much. I mean, I would recommend if you can play it with a controller that isn't an Xbox 360 or controller.
Yeah,
Because fuck that D-pad.
it's all about
It's
this D-pad here. Yeah,
oh,
and more on that later. But this D-pad
it's
here
yeah,
is what's
it
up.
is just abysmal, and especially for this game. In fact, at one point, I nearly jacked it in, and as a result of the D-pad, but I moved on. I moved on to the stick, which is almost unheard of for a 2D platforming game like this. And the stick actually works better than than the D-pad, as it turns
Yeah.
out. But that thing is terrible for any sort of precision.
The D-pad on a 360 the D-pad on a 360 controller is terrible. I couldn't agree more. Also, you're a grown man, Marius, right? Get yourself a new Xbox controller. It doesn't have to be the Elite, just the actual the normal Xbox controller. You know, like it's an excellent pad for the PC. It's not even that expensive. Just get one. You know, I know. You going like, I know, but I have the 360 pad. The amount of times you complain about it, I would have flying against the wall already for me. It would have been broken in two pieces by now if it was me. You know what I mean? But you know, that's just my opinion. Okay, but that's Sockventure. And
Yes.
before I move, yeah, absolutely. I'm
Both of them are on sale on Steam at the minute.
I mean, they both came out this week, so
Yeah.
both excellent choices. Can't go wrong. That's the only games you played, right, Marius? So now you're gonna
Is it. That's it.
Okay,
I'm
now,
done.
right.
Sit back.
But you have played Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is what Ben has been playing, so you both can talk about it. But Ben, what have you done on this one? Please tell me you played more than 2 hours and you actually finished this game.
I haven't finished it, no, but I started playing it with my brother the other night, and it's alright. It's the first Wolfenstein game I've ever played.
You have a brother?
I do. I have a sister as well.
I knew you had a sister. I just never heard about the brother. That's all.
But yeah, no, we were playing online, and it's a fairly competent shooter. I don't really know what story's going on. It's a bit floaty at times. The story's a bit bombastic, and the two sisters that you play as, they're a bit over the top. And
Sorry, as soon as you said bombastic, I had it's the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Chag is in our head straight away. Yeah, well, I started singing Chag in my head straight away, Mr. Bombastic.
Yeah, I'm trying so hard not to say it out loud. I was fighting with myself.
I just saw Mario's move, and I'm like, we have to. You know, as soon as it's bombastic, I started like straight away. Chag in my head started singing. You know, sorry, please go ahead.
Have you finished? Have you both finished? Are you sure?
I mean, I'm gonna put bombastic at the end of the podcast.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say that's got to go in at the end of the podcast.
It's a bombastic show. No, so it's all right. I mean, I've not, as I say, played any of the other Wolfenstein games. I believe this one didn't review particularly well, and I picked it up the deluxe edition, brand new, for £8, sort of 4 months after it came out, I think. But no, it's okay. It's obviously set in alternative. I think the first mission's in Germany somewhere, and you're shooting Nazis, killing stuff. There's big mechanoid creatures running around with flamethrowers coming out their mouth. I don't really know what to say about it. It's not particularly great, but I was still inclined to continue playing through it. It's very sort of arcadey, I suppose. Is a good. You don't have to think too much. It's just point your gun, shoot, pick up one more ammo, run around. The deaths and the checkpointing's a little bit weird. If you die, you're pretty much back to the beginning of the game or the level. Enemies respawn. And the other annoying thing is that you have shared lives and shared armor. So it's not particularly good if one of you is, not very good at surviving, or like me, you go in sort of guns blazing and not really paying much attention to the shared health part. So yeah, you've got, I think, 3 lives in total, and you can revive each other. But obviously, once the 3 lives have lost between between the two of you, then
It's
you're
typical
screwed.
in games like that where you have shared lives. Like I think GTA is like that as well. When you're doing missions online, there's only X amount of lives between the team, and then if when they're spent, you fail the mission. I think that's quite a
Yeah,
a
I
normal
think the
thing.
reason they're doing it is obviously trying to hit home the fact that these are two the twin sisters of EJ Blazkowicz, the main dude from the other Wolfenstein games, and he's gone missing. So you're on a hunt to find them. And it's that sort of sisterly love, the sibling bond. I think that's the reason why it's the way it is. But it's okay. It's not anything to
I
write
think
home about. But it's
I forget the name of the studio that does this, but I think this is gonna be really interesting.
Machine Games.
That's it, yeah. It's Machine Games. That's it. I think it's gonna be interesting now that they're owned by Microsoft. If they're gonna stay on the Wolfenstein, or if they're gonna let them go a bit crazier. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Because I understand not this one, but the one before that was a bit of an excellent game. I think Marius really liked the previous one.
It was absolutely.
Yeah, this is sort of not a spin-off. I think it's set after the last game.
Yeah.
But is it the New Colossus? Is the latest one?
That was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an okay shooter. There are better ones and there are worse ones. Fine if you've got couch co-op, two of you playing. In single player up here, the AI is pretty useless. So it's fun to play two player, but give it a miss one player is what I've heard. So
Okay. Let's do it this way then. Right. So let's talk about the other two games you've been playing, then we'll finish off with the PS5 stuff. I think that's probably a way to do it. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, but it's certainly a way to do it.
It's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
It's what we're gonna do. Let's roll it.
Right. You've been playing Until Dawn as well, which I know that it's a game that certainly both of you have finished before, right? So this is a replay.
Yes.
I'd imagine.
Yeah. So I first played this at 3:00 in the morning at 24-hour. Last one we did. I finished it a couple of hours the next day. So I did do it in pretty much one sitting before.
Was that when you broke your headset? Yeah.
This I don't know where this broke. But,
I mean, that's throwing me so much, Marius. I can look at his face.
It's a new way. You'll be doing it in the future. Trust me. I'm a trendsetter.
No, it's your headset and Marius' Xbox pad. They both would have been in the bin, like faster than you can say hello.
Yeah, but they both still work. So if you want to spend another 70 quid on buying me a headset or a controller for Marius, then
see, like the controller still works as specified. It's just the specifications aren't to my standard. That's different. Your headset is proper fucked.
Yes.
Don't tell me it still works. Look at it. It doesn't sit on
at
your
least
ear.
get some fucking tape around it or something. Like get around your head.
All the way around.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's what you need to do. Okay, no, don't do it now. You're talking about Until Dawn.
Till Dawn.
So yes, Until Dawn. It's a bloody good game. Obviously, 2015 it came out. It still looks really, really cool. When I first booted it up, my first impression was this looks a little bit not ropey, but very pretty graphics for the time. Looks dated now, but I adjusted a little bit on my TV, and by the time sort of 20 minutes in, you're like, actually no, I'm fully engrossed in this again. So this is my second playthrough. I was doing it relatively blind again. I thought I'd go through and try and get some more trophies, and ended up making a decision fairly early on that killed a character, which meant I can't get the trophies for killing everyone. So I thought, sod it, I'll try and kill everyone. Oh, sorry, couldn't get the everyone survives trophies. So I thought I'd go through and kill. And I must admit, it was a different experience. There was a lot of scenes that I hadn't seen before. Obviously, if characters are dead, then it does change slightly.
Yeah,
it was interesting to see how that. Obviously, they did it still interweave the story, having a character alive or dead in comparison with my last playthrough. But all in all, as I say, it's a really, really good game that holds up. The jump scares are really good still. And I don't know if you knew it was a feature, but if you've got your PlayStation camera plugged in, there's a few points where it does a jump scare, but it records what's going on in the room. So obviously playing it with Sophie on the sofa, and there was a few jump scares where it scared the shit out of her, and it was quite funny to watch back.
I like stuff
so that was a nice little feature that I didn't know, because obviously the first time I played it through 24-hour, wouldn't have had the camera necessarily plugged in. But yeah, no, it's a highly recommended game. Play through it blind, just enjoy the story. The story is good. It is your teen slasher horror film.
Yeah.
And it ties it all nicely towards the end. And
I
I
might
would
give
love a sequel.
I might give it a go because it's I now have it as part of the PS5 whatever.
Oh, it's on the PlayStation Plus collection, is it?
The one for the PS5
Yeah.
things. Yeah, it's there anyway. I'll need to have a look on how long to beat. If it's under 10 hours, I might give it a go. If it's
it will be.
It will be. Yeah,
it's about 8
I
hours.
think.
And another one which is also on the PlayStation collection, which I do want to try, and I will do it. It's a backlog of games at the moment, which is not a bad thing. Is Days Gone, which I also want to try. So have you played much of this one, Days Gone?
Yeah, probably about 6 or 7 hours in. It's one of those games that I'm a couple of hours in and I'm like, well, have I really done anything? I've kind of enjoyed what I have been doing, but not much has happened. My criticisms with it so far is I've seemed to do a lot of backtracking. The mission structure doesn't seem to be very coherent, and whether or not that's because I'm speaking to the wrong people out of turn sort of thing, but I seem to be going backwards and forwards across the map. In terms of the horde mechanic that obviously most people have seen, that's actually more of a side point than the actual main game. The hordes exist, but you sort of you spend a lot of the time in the beginning creeping around them, and obviously you can only take a few of them on at a time. And I haven't unlocked many, like explosives or traps yet, so I've not managed to have that satisfying, have a horde of 100 zombies following, or creatures, whatever they're called, following behind you and exploding. But it's getting there, and I think it's building up. It's a little slow to begin with. The riding around on the motorbike's okay. It's a bit janky to start with, but you to get some upgrade or the ability to upgrade.
Yeah.
Which is tied to your reputation level with each camp, or one of the camps in particular. So again, it seems slow, but I've enjoyed just milling around. It's one of those sort of milling around games, kind of a Ubisoft. There's a point on the map, go and explore, check it off, with a little bit of strategy to it. But for the PlayStation Plus collection, it's definitely worth giving a go through.
Yeah, I definitely it was on my radar to try, and yeah, I think I will. I like that type of game. But when I look at it, what's that, Marius? Who gave me tell me the name? What's the Xbox One, which was on the shopping center? That was actually quite good. The first one was really good. Anyway,
Yeah, I know.
You know the one?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Do you actually know it?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. He's not gonna remember. That's fine. It's great though. It's the one.
My head in.
The one in the shopping center was great actually. So it reminds me.
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising, yes. That Rising was excellent. The first one was excellent anyway. I think the other ones they got worse as
diminishing returns on it, wasn't it?
But the first one hit the spot straight away. I think that was an excellent video game, the first one. And when I look at it, it has vibes of that. So I definitely want to give it a go. All right, so that was Days Gone. Right, let's move over to my games then. I've obviously got a PS5, and I've been playing some PS5 exclusives because that's obviously why I got the PS5 for. I'm not going to be playing multi-platform games because for that I'll be playing them obviously on the PC. Or will I? More on that in a second. So let's start with the Astro Playroom, which is the just quickly touch on it. It's the one where essentially you trying the controller out, the DualSense controller, and it takes you through a lot of different Mario style, like Mario 3D Mario style levels, where you're exploring PlayStation, the new PlayStation, and you're finding all the PlayStations and all PlayStation accessories, and then you can actually look at them in a 3D model and interact with them as well. That's quite a lot of cool stuff. And now you hear a lot, and you hear a lot on the of people saying, "Oh, the controller is like the proper true next gen thing on the PlayStation 5 is the controller, and the haptic feedback is so great, and there's sound on it, and the triggers, the adapted triggers are the best thing ever." And I hear all of that, and what I have to say is, yeah, that's right. They're absolutely correct. All of that they said is true. I have to agree with all of those things. The dual sense controller is the best controller I played with until today. That's the best one I played with. I still don't get behind the analog sticks being next to each other, but that still makes no sense to me. And the D-pad is not good. It's okay. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The D-pad is adequate, but it's not as good as the Xbox D-pad. It's not. The Xbox got the D-pad perfectly, and so as the Switch with their Pro controller. PlayStation still hasn't got the D-pad. Don't get me wrong, it's miles better than 360 one, but it's still not as good as the other D-pads. But D-pads are D-pads. Like it's not the end of the world. The rest of the controller is excellent. When you play in this Astro Playroom, you heard it before. When you walk on the sand, it feels like you are walking on the sand. When you walk on the on glass, it feels like you're walking on glass. You hear a lot of that people saying that, and it's true. But I think it's a combination of the haptic feedback and also the sounds coming from the controller. Because they have these sounds coming from the controller that feels like when you're tapping on ice, it actually feels like you hear the little sounds of that. But the haptic feedback is going with the sound as well to make it more of an immersive thing. So that works great. And there's a particular part on it when you climb in, doing this climbing part with the motion controls. Oh, by the way, the motion controls still sucks. They always sucked. No one is ever going to convince me the motion controls are good. I play with my controller in my lap. I don't want to have to put my controller up again so that I can steer it from left to right. That's not how I play video games. That's not, if I'll go and play VR if that's what you want me to do. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so I was playing this climbing part on it, where you climb and you press the RB and the LB button to grab on to the next step. And that was one which if you press the RB fully, it would break the hold. But if you press it only halfway, you can hold it, and you have to kind of press halfway just to hold it. That was really clever, like the how that worked. And the actual game itself, first of all, if you're a Sony fan, as I am, and as I know both of you are as well, I've had lots of Sony consoles over the years. It's great to go onto the Astro's Playroom part, where you have when you find these collectibles, they actually all start showing up on this room, where you can, because you're a tiny thing, you can actually go and interact with them. You can jump on top of the PlayStation console. You can actually jump on top of the eject button, and it will open the disc tray and all of that. Oh, very cool. So much so that I was having so much fun. I actually went and did all the trophies and got a platinum on it, which is a very easy platinum. I hasten to add, but it was a fun platinum nonetheless. So yeah, that's the Astro's Playroom and the controller, which I think it's great. And the other thing they added as well is there's a microphone on it. I'm not sure if the other one at the PlayStation 4 had a microphone or not on it. I'm not 100%. I don't think it did. But
no.
Which is great. So if you have nothing else, you can listen to people talking on the TV, and you can talk on the microphone. You can also mute it straight away on the controller, which I think it's a great way as a very easy way to get somebody into online multiplayer without having to go and purchase a headset or anything like that, which I think is quite cool. I haven't tried it. I don't know how good it is. I certainly don't want to hear people coming from my TV. I would always wear a headset personally, but I think that could work for somebody that doesn't want to go through all that, but wants to play a game online and wants to communicate, which I think is quite cool. So then I played Demon's Souls, which is one of the reasons I got the PlayStation 4. I wanted to try Demon's Souls. This is the remake made by Blue Point. They made I mean, I haven't played. I played the original only a bit. I only played maybe an hour or two of the original. so I didn't finish it. But what they done here, it just looks like plays like the original. Certainly for what I played, but it looks extraordinary. In fact, it was one of the prettiest games I've ever played. Just looks great. And going back to the controller, when you do things like when you add fire to your sword, and then you're swinging the sword around, not only do you hear on the controller the flames, you actually feel the happy feedback of the flames burning as you move, as you hitting the sword, which is so clever. And then little things like when you're walking and you hit a piece of wood with your feet, you actually hear the slight vibration of hitting the piece of wood, but you actually hear the noise of hitting the wood coming from the controller. It's really immersive. It's I cannot stress enough how good this controller is and how immersive it is. It's truly next gen. I have to say. As for Demon's Souls itself, I loved it. I thought it was an excellent game. I could see, obviously, Dark Souls came afterwards, and even though they're not connected in story wise, I could see a lot of the mechanics there. I could also see why Dark Souls is so good, because it picked this game up, it took all the good things from it and left all of the bad things from it and made Dark Souls. Hence why Dark Souls is such a masterpiece. I think they got the boss order wrong. As you go through the levels, the bosses difficulties are all over the place, all over the shop. Some later on are a lot easier than some early ones, and vice versa. Which Dark Souls does a bit better when, literally I say this a lot better. The last boss in Dark Souls is pretty easy as well, but generally they get harder as you go through, which is what you want. This one here, I think the boss difficulties were all over the place. I also think there was too many gimmicky bosses where you can just pass without having to actually fight the boss. When I play a Dark Souls game, I like a big battle with a big boss or a small boss, but like somebody like powerful. I don't like gimmicky bosses. I think there was a few too many on this one, but still, I thought it was an excellent game, and I had a lot of fun playing it. It's a bit shorter than the other Dark Souls. I think I did everything pretty much on it, and I did it in about 30 hours, but I was messing about a lot. Like a amount of times I was just stopping and looking at the scenery, like looking like, oh, how pretty that looks. Oh, look at that. I mean, I think a lot of it as well is playing with HDR on, which I think makes a big difference. I posted a clip of me playing the game on YouTube, but without the HDR, just on standard, and I was like, wow, what the fuck happened to that? It doesn't look the same. It's just, I think the HDR adds a lot. But yeah, I loved it. Demon's Souls. A+. Unfortunately, it won't be available. It won't be eligible for my game of the year because it came out, I think, last year. Unfortunately, but I loved it. And if it was available, it would definitely have been on my game of the year at the end of the year. Right, the next one I've been playing, and this is the last game, is Returnal, which is another exclusive that only just recently came out. Marius, I know you don't like roguelikes, but this is the game for you. This is you 100%. Okay, I know you liked their previous two games they made on the PlayStation. Or maybe made it more than two, but
they're games.
Resogun and the Next Machina or something.
Yes, Next Machina, I think.
Yeah, and Resogun. So I've had a bit of an interesting journey with Returnal, because it was hyped to the max. Roguelike, this, that, blah blah blah, and I'm liking all these buzzwords. I'm liking everything I'm hearing about this. And I played the game for the first 2-3 hours, and this is honestly, this was what I was thinking on the first 2-3 hours of the game. It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's a fun game, but people are just going a bit crazy on this, right? And then he got me, Then he got me when I started going like, oh no, this is okay. I can see why.
Good.
Most roguelikes or modern roguelikes now do things like, and this is why I wasn't kind of getting with. Most roguelikes do something like you play the game, but when you die, like something like Rogue Legacy, when you die, you can spend your gold on upgrades, right? And then you spend the money on the upgrades, and then the next run will be a bit easier because you've done that. This one is not like that. Yeah, this one, there's only one thing, ether, I think it's called. Only one item you keep when you die, and the ether you can use to either get an artifact straight away when you first start the run, or you can use it to cleanse certain items which are can damage you, right? Everything else you lose, and I was like, I wasn't kind of getting. I'm like, I feel like I keep dying. I died like 2 or 3 times in the first playthrough, and nothing is changing in the world. Therefore, it's not a roguelike, it's a rogue, right? Because I'm not. But then I started going like, oh, hang on a second. There's a lot of dead cells in here actually. Because what are you doing is sometimes you unlocking new items, and they now become available in the world, so they can become drops in the world. And the more you unlock, obviously the more variety you have, and then you start learning what certain items do, and you start going like, "Ooh, this is really good," or this is not so good. Now then, there's these things called parasites in the game as well, right? And the parasites are great. I think it's a great idea because whenever you attach a parasite to you, first of all, it's cool because it's like this little tentacle thing that just comes in like alien that comes in and just grabs onto your suit. Parasites give you both a positive and a negative effect. So then you have to start understanding what's more important to you. It might go like give you 50% more restoration, right? But you lose 2 seconds cooldown on your alt fire or something like that. Yeah. So then you start going like, okay, if I'm not gonna get hit as much, I don't have to use healing items as much. So therefore that's not important, but I use my alt fire a lot, so maybe I won't take that one. But you can, you start making decisions like that, which when you first start the game for the first time, that's why I wasn't quite getting it. There was so many little systems to learn. That was a bit overwhelming for me, and I was like, I'm not getting it. But once you start learning a bit more. So one more thing on that. So it is like Dead Cells, where it's not procedurally generated, it's randomly generated. So you have lots of different rooms which are organized in a specific way, so a random way every time. So the world keeps changing, right? But very much like Dead Cells, because they're not procedurally generated. They're actually rooms. They're always the same, but like in different order. You can learn the rooms. So then you start learning the rooms. I know all this room is. I know where the enemies come from there, so you start learning how the rooms work and where's the best place to stay to shoot, etc. So you can learn the game. Even though you just learn the rooms, and then when you go through a door, right? This is that type of room. I know exactly what to do on this. Let me take care of the mobs, and the mobs are great. By the way, they like boxes and all of that shit because there's like fireballs coming from like blue, like lots of different things coming at you, and at least you have to jump in midair and dodge left and right to avoid them as you're shooting. It's really cool in the 3D space. It's really clever how they've done that. The shooting is great on this game. So that's that part. Then when it comes to the firing, the actual shooting mechanics, they've done a great job. It feels really good on your hands. And they've done something with the adaptive triggers which I quite like. So you shoot with the right trigger, but the left trigger is your aim down sights, like you have on most shooters, right? But if you press it, you get aim down sights. But if you press it fully, once you unlock the secondary fire, which you unlock very early on the first world, if you press fully, it uses your secondary fire. So in the heat of the battle, if you get to trigger happy with a LB, you might just use your alt fire by mistake, and there's a cooldown on that. And normally that's typically a more powerful shot. But I quite like the fact that you literally can aim and you feel it stopping because you have the adaptive triggers, and then if you fully press it, then it uses the alt fire. And on the other side, when you're shooting, it has actually active reload like Gears of War. But what they do, rather than you press a different button, when you're shooting, you then have the active reload screen coming up where you have to press at the right moment, but you just shoot again. So again, when you're shooting, you need to really be aware of your shooting habits, because when it comes time to reload, you need just press at the right time just to get that active reload. It took me a while to get over it, but once you start learning, I'm like, that's so clever, and so it works so well. It's so satisfying because you start getting to the point where you just destroy mobs, and then you're thinking to yourself, hang on a second, I'm still using the same weapons I was using when I first started the game. There's not much has changed. I'm just getting much better at this. I'm learning the levels better. I'm learning the enemies better. And the other thing that they do clever is there's different biomes. I've only got to the 3rd biome so far. I think there's about 6 or 7. And I got to the final boss on 3rd biome, and I died a couple of times trying to get to kill it. Unfortunately, by the time I got there, I don't have enough health, and I need to try and get that better. But the way they do it to help you do that better is when you play the 1st biome and you kill the boss, you get a key that opens a portal for the 2nd biome. So next time you play, on your next playthrough, you can just try and find the portal room, use the key, and go straight to the 2nd biome. So you don't have to fight the 1st boss anymore. Same thing happens when you finish the 2nd biome and kill the boss. You get a certain item that allows you to essentially reach the 3rd biome from the first world by going to that specific room and going straight. So then you don't have to fight the 2nd or the 1st boss. You don't even have to go to the 2nd biome anymore. So that's how because you still have the same amount of health, same amount of. So it's really clever. And the other thing they do as well is if you want to just rush to those places, that's this thing. Oh, that's another thing as well called the weapon proficiency on it, which is really clever. So you start on 0, which means that you start with a weapon on 0 proficiency, and that's your level. And the more you shoot, the more you kill, your proficiency goes up, and you can get power-ups that get that proficiency up. And as the levels go up, it means that, for instance, let's say you get to proficiency 4, the next weapon you're going to find is going to be at least 4 or higher, right? But if you skip to the next biome, they give you a 2nd biome, they give you straight away a power up that gives you proficiency 5, and if you skip to the 3rd biome, they give you proficiency 9 straight away, which means that you don't have to fight the 1st biome anymore. You can just go there, grab a weapon, and off you go. You're good to go for the 3rd biome already. I think this game is excellent. I mean, honestly, excellent. It's and even though it's a roguelike, I think this is the roguelike made for Marius. I think this is Marius all over the shooting. Yeah. Any questions?
It sounds like it. No, I don't think so. I'm just disappointed that I can't play it.
Yeah. 60 frames per second, solid as well. I mean, you don't see anything like that. There's little things as well. When you go through no loading screens, this is the PS5 thing, right? So when you go through a portal, you literally go through the portal and you walk out to the other side, and the world's already generated on the other side. Really clever, and just very slick game. Looks great. Echoes of Aliens, and actually more Prometheus. You know, if you guys seen Prometheus, the movie. It borrows a lot from that. I love the sci-fi aspect of it. I'm loving the story so far. You know, because obviously every time you start again, you see your ship crashes and you start again. But you actually see sometimes in certain parts you see dead bodies of previous attempts, not your attempts, but previous attempts in a game. It's really clever, and then you get logs, audio logs from that you get to hear, and trying to understand this world. There's a bit of No Man's Sky in terms of you scan words, learn words, so then you can use those words to decipher tablets, what they say, and I always like that on No Man's Sky. Like when you learn a new word, and when you're trying to converse, you have more. You starting to understand more what they're saying. They have this here as well. Yeah, I'm really impressed by this game. I think. I'll be surprised if this game is not in a conversation at the end of the year. I think so. I also think I've already played the best game of the year already. I think it's going to be difficult for that to be overtaken. We'll see. I think. And spoiler alert: Marius also played that game.
I've also played it, have I? Yeah, I thought I might have.
I think we played at the same time actually. Just that's all I'm gonna say. That game is excellent, but this is gonna be it's up there. It's excellent. Highly recommend both Demon's Souls. I mean, I know it's actually a bit of if you haven't got a PS5, me recommending this game is it's difficult to get a PS5 at the moment. I know that. I mean, I had to buy mine secondhand. I went against every fiber of my being, but I did it because I wanted one, and there's Ratchet and Clank coming up in a few weeks, which I'm really looking forward to play as well. And I started seeing all these games coming out, Returnal, and I wanted to play Demon's Souls, and there's these few other exclusives coming out.
Yeah, it's getting more and more a worthy purchase, isn't it? I don't think it has been worth it until this point.
And absolutely, and I did say when I first started talking about the PS5 that I only buy Sony machines for the exclusives, and that much is true. I have a gaming PC, a very capable gaming PC, and that's what I'll buy my games. Not to mention the games are cheaper. Having said all that, I am thinking about playing Mass Effect, the remastered edition. Yeah, and obviously it'll look great on PC with everything turned up to 11. But then I'm thinking, I've really forgot how good it is to sit down in a sofa and just play a game in the big TV. Maybe I want to play Mass Effect like that. So maybe there's gonna be 1 or 2 games here and there where the sit down not the multiplayer, but the sit down experiences. Maybe with HDR and all of that, maybe that's probably the best way to play it, because games do look quite impressive on that machine, to be fair. So I think currently it's only exclusives, but potentially there's going to be 1 or 2 experiences that I might actually decide to play on the PS5 rather than the PC, and Mass Effect might be one of them. But we'll see. But yeah, I'm interested to play Mass Effect. A big fan, of course.
Nice. What's your general sort of top level view on the PS5? Are you glad you've picked it up? Did you miss your PS4? Has it made you think, oh, actually, other than the sitting on the couch side of things, PS5, is it still in that process of, or the place of maybe not just yet, or is it starting to actually change where people?
I cannot, and I'll say this to anyone listening. I honestly, please don't buy a PS5 from a scalper. Do not buy a PS5. No. Please don't. I didn't buy. I did buy mine secondhand. I did buy mine for higher price than retail. I did, but I bought it from an actual gamer that needed some money and wanted to sell the PS5. Yeah, and I was quite happy to buy it from him. But don't buy it from scalpers. Let's not reward people that just buy 10 of them and just sell them a couple £100 extra on top. So if you can get one at retail, I think it's absolutely worth it. If you can get one at retail, absolutely get it now. I cannot say go and buy one and spend more than it costs retail. I cannot possibly recommend that at any point.
That's just silly anyway.
It made sense to me because I wanted one, and I review games and I talk about games in this podcast. So and it was my birthday and I wanted to get one, and I was prepared to pay a bit more. Listen, guys, I paid £50 more than it cost retail overall. So I'm not saying it was nothing crazy, but it made sense for me to do it. But I cannot recommend spending more. However, yes, I am very impressed by it. A lot of the things it does, it's good. The controller itself, like I said before, is one of those you need to try it. Because you hear people talking about it, you heard me saying it, and you're thinking, oh, that sounds great. And I heard people saying it as well, and I thought it sounded great. But once you actually try it, little things like the rain on Returnal, it's raining, and you feel the rain on your hands. You feel like the little speckles of rain falling in your hands. That's so cool. By the way, Microsoft has to come up with something like that. Microsoft has to. I mean, Microsoft, in terms of everything else, they still have the best controller, D-pad, how it feels, etc. They still have the best controller, but they don't, because the haptic feedback on the PS5 is the game changer. So they need to come up with something like that, Microsoft. I think, because it starts becoming a differentiator, I think. So yes, I think it's worth it to buy a PS5 if you can get it at retail. I don't think you can get it at retail probably until next year. This is the problem. And then you start missing games. You start missing the Returnals. You start missing the Ratchet and Clanks and the likes of those games. Having said all that as well, when you can buy one next year or Christmas or next year, then those games will be cheaper as well. So it's not it's one of those. I think they've done a good job with the UI. UI is a lot cleaner. It took me a while to realize how to actually put it into rest mode, because it's quite different than the PS4.
Yeah, I heard that complaint a lot.
On the PS4, you have to press and hold the PS button. Here, you don't. Why do people do that? Why do they change something from one to the other?
Sony, they've never been good at software. Yes, they're not very good at software.
I mean, I was quite impressed with the video recording on it, actually. The share button on it.
Oh yeah.
So I don't remember what it was on the PS4, but how long it recorded for. But this one here essentially records for an hour, so you can pretty much get up to an hour back of gameplay whenever or at any point, which is quite good. But you can also do 30 seconds, 5 minutes, etc. And then once you get it, it does it in a clever way. So you can go and edit it. You can cut it like I want just this particular 3 minutes part or whatever, and you can just cut it like that. Or you can export it to their Play Factory share whatever thing, and in there. It's actually quite a quite a good video editor. I mean, I do edit videos for YouTube, and actually what they have on the PS5 is quite cool. You can put things like you can add tracks, you can add audio, you can add music, you can change, you can pick a clip from here, clip from there, and put it together. You could actually fully make a YouTube video like a trailer, for instance, with cuts of. You can make a trailer for a game. You could take like little segments of a game and put them all together and actually put them into a video and just export it as a full video. It's actually quite an interesting little app they got there. I thought so. Things like that are quite good. Yeah. So I know both of you want to get one. So yeah, you should absolutely do so. Also,
I'm not in so much of a hurry anymore.
I want to swap games once you guys have it because the game's expensive. You know what I mean? Marius is already thinking I don't have to buy a Demon Souls. Fantastic. I don't know if you want to play Demon Souls anyway. But
I've done it.
So presumably, then you bought the pregnant one. You got
yes.
the disc one.
Yes. Cool. The digital one didn't make a lot of sense to me, because you know, like I said, you can borrow. The whole thing about consoles is Marius. I can land Returnal to Marius, and Marius can then land me whatever, and then I can just slap it on. Not to mention that I wanted to keep certain PS4 games. I wanted to keep some of my I still want to play at some point. I still want to play The Last Guardian. I can just pick that up and slap it onto the pregnant PS5 and play it. Also, certain games it changes them as well. So something like God of War is now 60 frames per second, for instance, the whole experience, and like we were talking about Days Gone, and you can play it's 30 frames on PS4, it's 60 frames on PS5. So certain games that actually work better on the PS5.
But ultimately, you're still playing a lot of your PS4 games on your PS5, or most people will be. If you haven't got an alternative, there's not much still on the PS5 solely. I don't think, or me getting one at least.
But yeah, I'm happy I got one anyway, and it's good. It means we can actually cover some of the PS5 games on this channel, which is great. Right. But yes, let's move over to the Why Don't You, which is a part of the show where we give you a recommendation of something to do or watch or experience. And I'm quite excited by Marius. Let's start with Marius, because Marius, believe it or not, I kid you not, that was going to be my recommendation for this week, and you stole it. You stole it from me.
Well, that serves you right for not putting it on the sheet, doesn't it?
Do you want to do a joint one?
Well, yeah, why not?
Well, okay, go for it.
I'll start.
Sure.
So yeah, my recommendation is Nobody, the movie starring Bob Odenkirk of Better Call Saul / Breaking Bad fame. And this is an action movie. Let's be honest, it's like a John Wick, basically. That's what this movie is. It's another retelling of a similar John Wick story, of literally a sort of nobody who's living the family life. There's a robbery, and he decides to do something about it, and gets caught up with Russian gangsters, and things escalate, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And I think this movie is fucking brilliant. I was expecting it to be, and look, it is what it is. It's a John Wicky type movie. I think it's made by some of the same people that did John Wick, or written by the writer. I think.
Same writer.
Yeah. And you can tell because it's almost the same movie in many ways, to be honest with you. But I thought it was really good. I thought the fight scenes were good. I thought Bob Odenkirk was brilliant in it. Not seen him in that sort of role before, and I think he handled it really well. And there's moments that are genuinely amusing as well. my particular favourite is when he's having a fight on the bus and he ends up getting thrown out of the bus window. And he just walks back to the front of the bus to go back in and continue the fight.
Yeah,
And it's just the way it's done and the setup of that it is really good. Yeah, I was pretty blown away by this movie. I think it's it exceeded my expectations. I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, so that was going to be my recommendation as well. But when I went to write on it, I was like, oh, what happened? Did I write this already? Oh no, Marius did. I also watched it. It is written by the same writer as John Wick. There's a lot of similarities between it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was brilliant as well. I don't think it was as good as John Wick. Let's just start by saying that.
I think that's probably fair.
And the reason it wasn't as good as John Wick is only because John Wick, Keanu Reeves spent a lot of time training, and there's a lot of the things you see in John Wick when like things like reloading the gun, etc. I like. Actually, he's really doing it in the scene. So a lot more preparation went into the fight scene. So I think the fight scenes are better in John Wick. But anyway, but going back to Nobody. I thought Bob Odenkirk was excellent on this, like as you say. I thought his acting was top notch. I always thought he was a great actor anyway. I know he does mostly comedic roles, but it's always been good. And it was one of the best things about Breaking Bad. It was him anyway to start with. And as you know, I'm a big fan of Better Call Saul. Do you watch Better Call Saul as well, Marius, or not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I echo everything that Mari just said about it. I think it's an easy watch for anyone. It's an easy watch,
and it's an hour and a half long.
Yes.
That's how long 99% of movies should be.
Agreed. Yes, completely agreed. I really enjoyed that. I thought some of I think it was a bit more funny as well in certain parts.
Yes. It got me chuckling quite a few times.
And I really liked. Whenever I watch a movie, I liked going onto IMDb and reading the facts about the movies. I don't know if you do the same.
I don't know what you're going to say there, but I need to shout. I thought RZA was quite good. RZA from Wu-Tang plays a character in there. He was good. But Christopher Lloyd, his second best role that I've ever seen him in, he was absolutely phenomenal.
And that's exactly what I was gonna say. So it's in his 80s, and he's in this movie, and there's a part in the movie with no spoilers where he has a couple of shotguns and is handling, and they're proper actual shotguns, obviously they're propped, but they're quite heavy, and they offered him like they were gonna give him like a lighter prop so that he could. It was like no, I want to have the prop so it's so it looks more realistic. So he insisted on actually, even though he's obviously quite an elderly person now, he insisted on using those, and I thought he was excellent on the movie.
He was brilliant. He was so good.
It was a specific part which is the first. You know the part I'm on about. That part. That part was just. I wasn't sure. They actually got me with that part. I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. I'm like, yes. I know we're talking around it. I'm a big fan of not giving spoilers, so I don't want to say. But
absolutely.
Marius knows the part I'm talking about. Yes, that was great. Nobody, easy recommendation. Where can you find Nobody? Yes, somewhere. You can find it somewhere
on the screen.
I believe it's Hulu. I think it's Hulu. Yeah, so I think it's where you can find it. I don't remember where I found it. I got too many.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah,
I got too many subscriptions. I don't remember which one I watched it. I think it's on Hulu. So go and check it.
I thought you had a cancel down of your subscriptions recently, Marius. That was a why don't you a while back.
Yes. Obviously, Marius has pirated the movie, and
I remember where I get things.
And we're obviously talking around it, Ben. Okay. We're pretending we don't remember where we got it from because
I don't know what you're talking about, Bruno. I have no idea what's going on.
Right. Okay. So, what about yourself, Ben? What's your recommendation?
Oh, it's nothing very exciting at all. As you know, I don't watch things. But it's springtime, and I've been pottering around in the garden. So my recommendation is to plant some seeds, be it a little pot or a big pot or a box or whatever. Just put some soil, get some seeds.
You supplementing your income with a cannabis grow, are you, Ben? Is that
No,
what's
I wouldn't get away with it in the building that I live in, but it's a very lucrative income, I hear. But
No,
no,
we had. Sorry, on a side note, we had one just a few doors down the road. The old Bill came and raided the house the other day. the other day.
My understanding, and I don't know much about these things, but my understanding is you need to go for the basement, not the loft, because they have the helicopters
Yeah.
that see
This is
the heat thing. So I understand.
my understanding is better use of fucking police time should be spent elsewhere than
I agree.
busting weed.
I agree,
weed
but
plant
but
still.
currently weed is still illegal. So the best
I know,
the best
know.
the best policy
But
is don't grow an illegal substance. That's the best policy.
that is generally the best policy. Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
I'm not discussing if it should be illegal or not. That's not what I'm saying. Is if
that's
it
a
is
whole
illegal,
new podcast.
if it is illegal, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
This is true.
That's
But it's only illegal if you get caught, isn't it?
No, that's
no.
Anyway, no
no.
illicit behaviour. But no, the short and sweet. Yeah, plant some seeds, and it just it's 5 minutes out of your day to water your plants. It's something quite satisfying about it, and watching a plant grow from seed. It's simple things like a tomato. I mean, I don't like tomatoes, but I like growing tomato plants because it's easy. And it's just that that's a couple of minutes a day.
Question: what's wrong with tomatoes? They're probably one of the best things ever.
Yeah, they're fine. I'm just not a big fan of, like, if they're in something, I'll eat them. But
It's like Marius is doing a face. Are you saying yes or no to tomatoes?
No, I mean, yes to tomatoes. I will eat tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of my newfound foods that I will eat that I didn't used to eat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I would
no,
eat
I'm the
them
same,
in.
like-
I would eat them in some things, but like as a flavouring good, I was never a fan of the actual sort of texture of tomatoes.
I agree.
But to say they're one of the best things ever, Bruno, is absolute bullshit. There are almost an infinite number of things that are better than tomatoes.
I'll explain what I mean by that. Like the potato, like the potato, but unlike the potato, there's a multitude of things you can do with it. But the difference between the tomato and the potato is the tomato is actually healthier than the potato. So you can eat. It's very versatile fruit that you can use for a lot of different things. And it's actually good for you. So that's why I say it's one of the best things ever, because A is versatile. It can go in lots of different dishes, be it cold or hot, and it's good for you. That's why I say it's one of the best things ever.
Okay.
And they're easy to grow. There we go.
There you go. And hence why they're easy thing to do. But Marius, I like Marius is in this new finding new foods, which is great. I mean, he talked about olives before because he never was an olive eater. But olives are the best things ever. You cannot tell me they're not.
Nah.
They're not the best things ever, but they are great.
Okay.
There's a lot of different olives, and I've tasted a lot of them, and I still don't like olives.
Yeah,
but that's just
something
personal.
wrong with you. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you don't like olives, there's something wrong with you. That's anyway.
By the way.
Grow something. I don't have a garden, but I do grow stuff from. I bought a plant from a tree from IKEA that was dying. Pretty much was dying. It was a lemon tree it was like on his last legs, and they had it like half price. Like pretty much giving away because he was gonna die. I bought it like when I first moved to this place, and kind of like changed the pot and been bringing it back to life, and it's still going now, and it's getting really big, and
it's satisfying to see that
yeah.
growth of, especially if you bought a haggard plant for half price, and you're like, actually now it's flowering.
Yeah,
it's life's simple pleasures. That's why don't you?
And I also have an avocado plant which is quite tall now. I have to admit, I tried to grow twice an avocado plant from the seed. Twice I failed. And then my sister's boyfriend managed to do one, so he just gave it to me. But then I picked it up from that and I planted it, and it's now quite big. So it's looking quite good. So yeah, it is fun to do that, and it is quite therapeutic. I agree. So people should absolutely do so. All right, I think that's gonna do it though for the podcast. It's nice to have you back again, Ben. Thanks for
thanks for having me.
Of course,
nice to talk about games as well. But,
Always, yes.
I have actually been playing a lot recently, which has been quite nice.
Yeah, get your headset fixed. It's really, really this. I mean,
I've just treated myself to some new tech.
What is that you got on your wrist?
It's a Phoenix 6X Pro.
Right. I
Garmin, I think.
love when people don't buy the best product just to be different, and they try to go like, oh no, this is good because it does this and that. Yeah. Just get an Apple Watch.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, the amount of tech that's in
just get an Apple Watch. Everyone knows the Apple Watch is better. Everyone else does no one does a watch as good as the Apple Watch.
It depends what you want out of it. But,
Yeah, I want my
would
watch
disagree.
to be good.
But
How
yeah,
high?
so a new headset is on the cards, but I'm going to wait for some funds to come back in before splurging out.
Listen, I don't want to go MacGyver on you, but for the headset, just get yourself a lollipop, right? Get yourself a lollipop, eat the lollipop, right? When you finish it, use the lollipop stick as a brace on the inside with some tape. Boom.
Well, that's what I've already done
Well,
with the metal thing that's already in it. It's
yeah,
just
I don't believe that you have a brace there. You put some tape. I don't
it's
see a
snapped out
brace.
in-
I don't see a
in the
brace. Do you see a
case.
brace, Marius? I don't see a brace there. I don't think it's braced it.
It's covered in tape.
It's the most piss poor brace that's ever been seen. If
It's
there,
fine.
if there is
I
one.
don't use my headset very often. I don't want to
Uh,
spend more money on
Fair
headset.
enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
It's
Okay.
just funny how you've got one side drooping.
I'm gangster. This is all it is.
It's like your headset's having a stroke, you know. So
It's the new DJ look, rather than doing it like that, just hanging. So yeah.
it's the most. I mean, it's the whole podcast has thrown me, and Marius as well, and Marius as well. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. But okay.
Well, it's good to be back, guys. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back. The other thing that's throwing me as well, which I love, is I keep looking at on his shelf there, and this is for the podcast listener. You're going like, what the fuck? YouTube.com monkeytail UK, and you can have a look at this podcast. But we're looking here at your shelf, which is full of games. But the one which I keep looking because it brings me back so many good memories. It's that PS1 screen that fits into the PS1. That thing is great. That thing is a great thing. I used to have one of those things. That's.
I'll tell you what. So I waxed lyrical about this a while ago, but in terms of tech, Sony video and speaker system from the 90s.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But it's a cool piece of kit.
It's an LCD. So like back in the day, that's the only one of the. For LCDs were quite expensive, but that was quite a lot of big tech back in the day. Those things are awesome. What's that? 7-inch?
No, and it's like
7-8 inch.
Yeah, it's about that.
That's quite cool.
But, no, so it looks and sounds really authentic. It's the best way to play a PlayStation at the moment.
No, it's not the best way to play PlayStation. They're absolutely incorrect. The best
PS1.
way to.
I mean, that is a stretch and a half.
Yeah, the best way to play PlayStation is the big fuck off screen, and then you play the PlayStation. Don't give me this.
No, because it looked bad. Because obviously, on modern screens.
No, get yourself a CRT or something and play it on a CRT. Then. Don't tell me that that's the best way to play PlayStation. You were saying earlier, call a spade a spade. You call a spade a spade. Don't tell me that's the best way to play PlayStation. Right? What are you trying to say?
But no, it does look really, really cool actually.
It looks awesome. And also speaking of good looking consoles, that mini PS1 is one of the best looking consoles as well. I think that console is great.
The PS1 is
that particular version that was quite a good console. All right, okay. We like I said, we're going over long today. Let's end it there then. If you do want to get in touch with us, you can do so by sending us an email to podcast@monkeytail.co.uk or hitting us up on Twitter, which is @monkeytailuk. And tell us, give us your suggestions for opening questions or for why don't yous at the end. And just say hi. Just get in contact. And the other thing you can do for us is give us a review on your podcast of choice, platform of choice, be it iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, whatever. Just give us a review there and tell a friend. Tell a friend about us. That's the single most thing you could do for us. Best thing you can do for us is tell a friend about us. I'm gonna end it there. I've been Bruno Pinto. Marius.
I've been thinking this podcast was telefantastic.
So sorry.
Fantastic.
Oh, I see. Mr. Boombastic. I mean, I'm gonna have to end it with that. Ben?
I've been Mr. Boombastic. There we go.
Fantastic.
Y'all your loving well good. I want your loving. Loving it like you should. I give you loving. Well good. I want your loving. Y'all you remember the wood you like to kiss and caress. Rub down every strand of your bandages.